not till you're okay. Also, I just realized the last time we did one of my many weird shows was my like live me live show, which guess what? That's TikTok.
No.
That's the company of TikTok.
Wow.
Bite Dance. Dude,
Bite
and
dance.
what's so crazy is I cannot you're the only person I see in my TikTok feed every day of my life
I
when I
see you
go
a
on
lot
there.
too. I see you all the
Really?
time.
But I'm
Yeah.
like not even on there. You're very good at it. I'm not good.
Oh, girl,
I can't even get an audience on there. Now I've got threads. It's all too much, Eden.
oh, dude, listen, if I'm making you believe that I'm good on there, like, great, I'm doing my job because I just got one 2.5 months ago because I refused for the longest time. Because I was like, I'm not going on there and fucking doing some dumb dance and like what, and they're like, everyone's like, no, it's not like that. It's different. It's this and that. And I was like, all right. And then because I was putting music out again and I realized that so much has changed, I had to be on there. And so I literally had to hire, this is like real tea, and I don't even care admitting it. I had to hire people to show me how to make TikToks because I was like, how the fuck do I even make a TikTok? I felt so old. I
First
was
of
like, how do
all,
I even do this?
there's no shame
Oh,
in that. I feel the same way. I'm kind of like, what am I supposed to do on here? This is so much work. But here's some other fun tea. And this
okay.
no longer happens anymore, which is such a bummer. Do you know for like the last year and a half, I was being paid to make white label TikToks for brands of
What?
me? Oh, they're the funniest things. One day, maybe I'll like put them on my Patreon. They are psychotic. It was for like video games, Hello Fresh, all these weird, and I got paid very well. And
That
I would
sounds awesome.
I know it doesn't happen. The company folded, which sucks. But I would like have people here and there hit me up and be like, "Is this you dressed up as like a princess?" No, it was like insane. It's like mortifying. Eden, it's terrible. It's like insane. And I'd be like,
Like,
"Yeah."
give me an ad. Give me one.
I mean, oh, what were the lines? No, it would all have to be like,
No, like what kind of brand or something? Like, what were you
yeah,
principal
no,
for?
they were like princess game, like mobile games, like with kings and queens, or there would be like Hello Fresh where I made this like weird pizza thing. What was another one? I mean,
Fun.
oh, one of them, the weirdest one, the last one I did was all about, and I liked it because I obviously you and I are both Chihuahua moms and we are animal
Mhm.
lovers. And it
Mhm.
was all about this medicine for dogs that like was not like homeopathic, but like ravioli. I mean, no residuals. Look there, she's just passed out in the back. It was so weird. I will send some of a tennis game, which makes sense for me because I love tennis, but it was so unhinged. Rachel was like, these are the funniest, weirdest things you've ever done in your life. And yeah, they're
Okay,
out there.
I love it. I want to see them. And also, you just gave me another little nugget. You play tennis?
I do play tennis, not very well. I have a ball machine. Do you play tennis?
So, kind of.
Does Ryan play tennis?
I want to play tennis. Does Ryan play tennis?
Yeah.
No, no, no. But I so badly have this fantasy. I have the skirt, I have the racket, I
Come
have all the
through.
gear. And I really want to find a group of friends where we like get tennis going. And like, I just fucking love it at like when the sun sets and it's like still kind of hot, but there's a little
Oh,
breeze and like,
first of
right?
all, I have that crew already. I have
Can I
it
join?
100%. I even have like group lessons like
What?
once a month. Yes, and I live in the burbs, and I'm not going to say
I
which
live in the
part,
burbs too. I won't say where either.
but I'll
Well,
tell you obviously after.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
have tennis courts everywhere that are open and free all the time. And I have a ball machine, my own ball machine.
Okay, I need to get hit with those balls.
Yeah, girl, I got you. I got you.
I love
You're
that my lesbian friend is gonna hit me with the balls.
yeah, the only balls I've seen in quite some time. Thank God. Um, all day, every day. I'm
Yeah,
obsessed. You look like an angel. I
thank
love
you.
that it's like like your obsession. Like it's so interesting. I think we all sometimes forget about like the love infatuation we can feel for like characters or celebrities. And I love that like that comes out. We talk about masturbation in that song, which I love.
Yeah,
Dreaming with my hands. I heard it.
yeah,
Um, did you tell me? But I saw somewhere that you said that you had written that song like 10 years ago. Is that right? Did I read that
yeah.
right?
I wrote and recorded it. That's the same vocal from a decade ago.
Really?
Yeah. It's just a
Damn.
different bridge. I wrote a new bridge. That's the only new vocal. I didn't like the bridge that was there before. I wrote and recorded it in a castle in France at an ASCAP songwriting retreat a decade ago.
What a
And
flex.
and I had it and I was telling everyone, I'm like, I had this whole other separate body of work when I was on two labels. I went through two labels with that gem of a song. And I was like, I think this is the single. Like this is a hit. And everyone was kind of like, the first questions they always ask, which I find really fucking annoying, is they're always like, who produced it? Who'd you write it with? And if you don't say someone who's like in the charts right then, so many executives will just like pass it up because they can't, they're not creative. They don't
Right.
listen to the actual song. They just want to see like who's charting right now. So the irony about the whole thing was like those people at the time, the people that I worked with, okay, I wrote it with Jesse Shack. Well, Jesse Shack produced it, yes, and co-wrote it. And I co-wrote it with Mozella. And at the time, she was in such a she's spoken about this, so I don't feel like I'm blowing up her spot by saying it, but she was in like a pretty hard spot, mentally, financially, like all of it. And she had just gone through a very painful breakup. She was supposed to marry the guy, and he like literally called off the wedding. It was like a whole thing. And she wrote a little song called Wrecking Ball. And
Just a
yeah,
small one. Just a
mm-hmm.
small little song called Wrecking Ball. Yes.
Yeah. So, she went on, she got her number one, and then Jesse produced Chandelier for Sia. Yeah.
Another small
So I'm
one.
ready to get my number one because I remember explaining this to people and being like, I don't care who I wrote. This is so good. And these people are so talented. And like, if you believe in me, you'll listen to me. And like, and it doesn't matter. They don't fucking listen to you. And then cut to like, those are two of the biggest songs of the last decade. And
Yeah.
that's who I wrote that song with a decade ago in a castle in France. Yeah. So,
Wow. And they were in the castle in France with you, I'm
yes.
assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was in that castle in France?
A lot of cool people. What's that band? Oh God, what was his band called? Fuck. It's like a cool cred indie project, and they had a hit. It was I'll come back to you on that. I forgot him. I'm going through the artist first, and then Mr. Hudson. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm. Who's that?
So I knew who he was because I lived in England, which I know you lived in England. I'm
Long
listening
time
to
ago.
Cool,
Oh,
Cool, Cool.
you were really listening to my, oh my
Yeah,
God,
I
my
like Cool,
diary
Cool,
entry.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah, your
good. Well, you're
diary
on it
entry.
right now.
Oh my God. Mr. Hudson, he's dope. He's collabed with like Jay-Z and like he's another cool, like he's fucking cool. British singer. Producer wise, I would say Jesse, who ended up doing Chandelier, is probably the biggest. No, actually, there's just a lot of people. This Nashville guy who's done a bunch of Carrie Underwood shit and like a lot of cool people. And then this guy named Gary Go who did the Skrillex you are, I can't think of
Oh,
the
yeah,
lyric.
yeah, yeah.
You are cinema. I could watch you forever. That
Yep.
guy. Just cool people. It was like, I don't think they do it anymore, but they did it every year and they would do like X amount of artists. I think it was like five artists, five. So I was in the artist category, five songwriters, and then five produced. No, there's more than 15 of us. There's like 20 of us. Oh, Dan Nigro. How about that? He went on. He couldn't get arrested. Congrats, Dan Nigro. He couldn't get arrested until literally last year when he co-wrote and co-produced the entire Olivia Rodrigo album.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
It's the
And he
thing. I mean, that's what doesn't make any sense to me. It does. Let me back up. I think there's like a timing element. There's
yeah.
the right artist element. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things like to your point. It's like,
Mhm.
well, those two people made literally some of the biggest songs ever. Some of the biggest syncs, I mean, the Wrecking Ball, I would say arguably, while obviously Miley was very famous before, I think it like made her as who she is today. So it's
I
like,
would agree with that. It changed the trajectory of her career to like one that was a bit more. Well, I know for a fact because in England again, I sat in on a sound check for her during like a Hannah Montana tour because my friend was her backup singer. And I remember being blown away and I remember coming in with a certain vibe, judgy. I'll just be honest. I was like, a fucking Disney. Meh, meh.
yeah,
And then I was watching her soundtrack and I was like, this bitch can fucking sing. And I was like, it was like me and like one other person in this like auditorium or it's auditorium. God, I'm tired. Amphitheater. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like she's really good. But then I think it got overshadowed by a lot of like public antics and whatever. And then I agree with you. I think Wrecking Ball was the moment when everyone kind of went and like looked at her with a new lens and it just made I don't know, she made a lot more fans that way and was able to do different types of records. And I think she's brilliant. But that song definitely helped her a lot.
Yeah.
The
So,
demo's amazing, by the way. I have Mozella's demo. It's
whoa,
so
that's tight.
good.
That's
Mm-hmm.
very tight. So
Mm-hmm.
you release the song 10 years later and independent. The video is
Mm-hmm.
incredible. I was saying this to you before we started to record. I love all your videos. They're always like a good, fun time. They give me like real music video vibes. Cause
Oh, that's the best compliment.
like a real, like the ones you like race home to watch after school. What was
TRL,
your
yeah.
concept? Like, how'd you come up with? Because I even saw on TikTok, like all the hair and makeup, the different looks. I love the pearls on the face. Like, you really went
Thank
for it.
you. Well, thank you. I came up with
Mhm.
the concept really is like, well, I'm super visual and making videos is one of my favorite things. I was saying to you before we started, like, for this record, for Too Cool to Dance, that's the only time I ever had a big budget with a label. They spent like, I'm gonna be gross and just tell you, but I feel like I remember it was like 110 grand for that video. And I was like, and it's all right. Like I had notes the whole time. I thought the director was a little bit of a bitch. Don't care if you hear this. And I was just like what people don't realize is you have to pay that money back. So
Well,
you don't want to spend 110 grand on your music video because then
no.
you're already 110 grand in the hole. So I was always like, no, give me like 5 to 10 grand and I will go make a way better music video, and which I had been doing for years and years. And so I would like to think that I'm like sort of a director at this point. I mean, I work with a great team of people who I trust. I'm also very loyal because I think loyalty is something that is really hard to find in this town. And so I think that helps me because when I have budgets, I call the same people. When I don't, I call the same people and they're always
Yeah.
there for me. So that's also how I'm able to do some of it. But the concept was came to me I really love old Hollywood and my mind was blown because I've always loved the visual, that image of from Creature of the Black Lagoon where he's
Mhm.
carrying her out of the fucking swamp and. And did you know that was the first 3D movie ever made?
No, that's
Yeah,
cool.
in theaters in the 50s, people wore like the 3D and then it didn't work. It was kind of a flop and everyone was like, meh. And then Michael Jackson like made 3D cool again. And I don't know, it was just interesting to me. So my vibe was like Creature of the Black Lagoon meets like those German films from the 20s, which I believe the style is called expressionism, German expressionism. Um, that's more about the lighting and like the harsh shadows and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, Meets like 90s club kid, like in my bedroom, like you were talking
Yeah.
about, like being obsessed with this, like, this ubiquitous Justin Timberlake on the wall or whoever the fuck it is that you like think you're gonna marry one day. And like, but for
Jonathan
me, I
Taylor
was like, how
Thomas.
boring would it be if it's just like a guy? Like, how about I'm in love with like, like a sea monster? What did you say that I missed?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but I was kidding.
JTT. I was in the Leo Lovers Club,
Stop.
Titanic.
How do you feel about that now? Because he's kind of like, he's kind of jumped the shark for me a little. The fact that he dates those girls that are just so young, I can't. I'm like, dude, you're kind of the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
And he's
That's
not very
weird.
hot anymore. Hate to say it.
I do you know what it is? It's like he's a movie star.
Fair
So I
enough.
feel like he's always hot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine.
But if I thought about it long enough, I suppose I would vomit over the fact that he dates like 10-year-olds.
Yeah, it's like super gnarly. It's just like, I mean, listen, Camilla Morone, I think that's how you say her name, is
Mhm.
stunning. So I get it.
Done.
But she
Stud.
was like 19. I was like, dude, that's
It's
not.
weird. It's weird. I think it's weird when guys like want women to not have pubes. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not like a little like boy or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm a woman. Like, I
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
But I think you've always taken really interesting risks, whether it's like in you as a solo artist, as Eden XO, but then also Jesse and the Toy Boys is genius.
oh, thanks.
Like it's so out there. So what I'm referring to, if you don't know, Jessica. I never call you Jesse or Jessica. Should I? And not
No, nobody
Eden?
calls me that. Eden's my middle name.
No, I know, but I just
Mhm.
didn't know. Anyway,
No, nobody calls me that.
I'm like, oh my God, have I been like weird this whole time? Okay.
No, no. It would
So,
be weird if you called me that, to be
okay,
honest.
so Jesse and the or the Toy Boys was
Mhm.
your first project, right? Kind
No,
of.
it's my
No,
third.
she's a vet. Okay, your third project. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like that's when you went on tour with Nicki and Britney Spears, which we'll get to, Femme Fatale, which is I would say probably one of the most iconic tours of
Did
the
you come
last.
to that tour?
No, but I
Oh,
just know it because you were
that
in
would have
it.
been so fun if you came.
Oh, I would have really had a lot more to talk about, but I didn't. So that's fine. But you didn't even have, so I was like, oh yeah, I remember she was in that band. And then I like looked it up. I'm like, wait, no, they were fucking mannequins.
Yeah.
So you were a solo artist, but
Yeah.
just with mannequins. How was pitching that to like a label?
I didn't have to. I just did it. I wasn't on a label. I was independent. I got that tour as an indie artist, which
How
is
did you
fucking
get that
unheard of.
tour?
My agent really believed in me. John Marks, still my agent to this day at WME, shout out. And John has this ability to, I mean, literally, I don't know why he's still my agent. Thank you, John. Because other than me, he picks fucking winners. I mean, he signed Gaga and really elevated her career. Like, first thing he did was put her as the opening act for the Pussycat Dolls tour. He signed Bruno Mars. He's still Bruno's agent. He was Gaga's agent forever until I think she made I can't think of that movie with Bradley Cooper. Mom brain's a real thing. Like if any moms are listening, I'm still in the mom brain zone.
All of the
Um,
listeners are moms, so they get
okay,
it.
great.
Yes.
They get it. So she went to CAA after that, which whatever.
Yeah,
I
with her
don't.
like creepy dude that
Mhm.
she dated.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
was John was her agent forever. And then the weekend, he's the weekends. I mean, he just picks. So I was pretty honored. He was my agent or is my agent. And um, it's like don't ask, don't get. I remember being like, I want to open up for Britney Spears. And my manager at the time, who I love, and we're still friends to this day, he's also like me. He's like, anything's fucking possible. Why not? Why not? Like if you don't if you don't put it out there, how are you gonna, whatever, that's step one. So me and him were like, yeah, I'm getting this tour. We just lived in that space. Meanwhile, like the whole town wanted that slot, and this
Britney
is
Spears and Nicki Minaj at a time when that sort of like those like women, it was really that time, that Femme Fatale tour. I mean, it was just the time that they were billing. I think I don't see it done as much anymore with like two real like co-headliners like that. I mean, Nicki was still, I don't think Nicki was where she is now, but still, like that's a double headline tour. That's
it was
crazy.
it was awesome. It was awesome. And it was awesome too because I got 20 minutes, which a lot of openers don't get that much time.
Wow.
So I got 20 minutes. And then in certain cities, I was doing so well on the tour, which was like just a dream come true that Nikki couldn't do a couple places in Florida. And originally they were going to fly in Jordan Sparks to fill in her spot. And I was crushing it so hard that Britney's management and Britney and everybody at the time were like, do you want to just do like a 40-minute set? And I was like, yeah. And so I was the sole opener for Fort Lauderdale, not Miami. She was there for Miami. We did a bunch of places in Florida. Anything besides Miami and Florida, I opened. Nikki couldn't be there. She was with Sean Kingston in like Jamaica or some shit. And then
Oh my
it was
God,
crazy.
Sean Kingston. You know
I know,
what's a
these are some
trip?
throwback names.
Wait, you know what's so throwback is my friend Chris Turner was Sean Kingston's backup singer for that whole time, and they all got robbed
Oh
on their
no.
tour bus. Do you remember that? Yeah. Shout out to Chris if you're listening. Yeah, Chris and I went to the new school together, jazz contemporary school, and he was there.
Wow.
He was great. He's an amazing singer from Oakland. He's beautiful,
I
beautiful
see. I didn't
voice.
know you went to jazz contemporary school.
They kicked my ass out because I couldn't read music. But that was the end of that. Yeah, no kidding, Eden. You don't know any of these things. Do you think I'm telling like you and Bonnie McKee and all my other fucking major pop star writing crazy friends that I can sing? I keep that shit to my motherfucking self. I came to LA, was acting, singing a little, and then speaking of things, they were just like, "You're fat, you're fat, you're fat. We won't can't book you. We can't book you. You're fat. You have to lose
Oh
weight. You have
my
to lose weight."
God.
And I just couldn't. I'm like, dude, this is how my body is shaped. Yeah, that was a wild time. But yeah, I'm not telling you guys I can sing. You guys are pop stars. You're on tour with fucking Britney Spears and Nicki Minaj and doing songs with like people from No Doubt and fucking who else? Little John. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Like, get out of here. Also,
Okay, well, I want to hear you sing. I'm gonna
I'll
make you
sing privately,
sing.
private on the
Okay,
tennis court.
okay.
On the tennis court. Could you imagine?
Oh my God,
How
yes.
weird.
I
That'd be
would love
amazing.
that. And
Actually, if
also,
you do a
also I
tennis,
can completely imagine you as an amazing actress without seeing your work. That's
thank
very
you.
obvious.
I
So,
couldn't. Well, thank you. What a time. What a time to be alive. Wait, but did you hang out with Britney? This is what we really want to know. We need to
oh
know
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Was
I
she
did.
with Kevin Federline at that time?
No, she was dating her agent at WME.
Oh, I
Um,
remember that.
mhm,
Oh my God. That
mhm.
was like later, the white dude, but he dates everyone.
Yeah, and he had long hair, like that guy. I can't think of his name. He had to quit the agency because he was dating her. And then he was just like on the road with us, like
So
in
weird.
a lot of cities. It was kind of random.
Was she
Um,
cool?
she's the coolest. Nikki's fucking beyond the coolest. Well, I love Nikki to like so much. Nikki was nothing but hilarious and cool as fuck to me. However, some people would throw around like, oh, Nikki was kind of a diva, whatever. To me, I just call bullshit because again, like if Nikki was a man, they wouldn't use that word. It's not, I don't think she's not a the times I saw her kind of lose her chill was just in regard to her show. Like if something was off or wrong or like, she'd stop rehearsal and whatever and be like, where is this? Why isn't this working? What? Because she cared about putting on a really good show. That to me does not a diva, a bitch, an asshole make. It's just someone who cares about their show. I mean, you can go watch Truth or Dare. Madonna, she does the same thing. She stops and she's like, I remember there's like a moment in Truth or Dare where she's like, why can't I hear my voice? Somebody's getting fired, like the whole thing. And it's like, well, yeah, it's gotta like, so I loved both of them. Brittany, I spent less time with. Now we all kind of know why,
Right.
because I will say, like, they never left her really alone. Like, someone was always around. And I did think, like, oh, well, she's Britney Spears. Like, of course, someone's always around, Like, I didn't think twice about it until stuff started coming out. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was kind of weird. And like, little things were clicking into place
Sure.
for me. But cool as fuck, really good mom. I don't like the way that this whole thing's been twisted on her by K-Fed of like being a bad mom because I witnessed her being an extraordinary mother. Um, her boys were on the road with us a lot. Her creepy fucking dad was there a
The
lot.
worst.
He gave me the creeps immediately. I never met him officially. I never shook his hand, nothing. Felicia, who's in the Baby One More Time video, she was on that tour, and what a fucking angel woman she is. She really loves Britney and has her best interest. And like she would do the fan, like this VIP, like like tours for them and the meet and greets. And like, so that I would always be like sound checking or whatever. And they'd come around and watch my sound check and it was so much fun. But like Britney, I mean, I wish it was the kind of thing where we all like got on Britney's bus and ate popcorn and watched movies together. Her team didn't make it for that type of environment. I
Yeah.
had much more moments like that with Nikki because Nikki wasn't like, being controlled by her father on the tour. So yes, I hung out with Britney. I love her. I adore her. I saw her every day for 3, 4 months. It was a long tour. That's the other thing. They scheduled it out. They had these like mandatory off days for her. So therefore we had off days, which is like not financially, like doesn't make the most sense. But for me, it was great because I had to pay for my bus. I had no label. So on those off days, I would book predominantly like pride fests. I would go play gay clubs. I'd go whatever I could do to then take that money and put it back into the whole. I mean, like I pretty much broke even by the end of it because I wasn't making that much as the opener. And it's expensive every day with a bus driver like that. The gas alone, it's like fucking, it's thousands of dollars a day. And
That's
so
crazy
because they
that
made her have these mandatory off days, you're just burning through a lot of your resources when you're a no major label indie artist like myself.
was
So
this when you did Dinah Shore?
I did Dinosaur before I got the tour.
I've never been to Dinah Shore.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. It's really fun being a straight girl there too,
I
because
bet.
I feel like you just, I don't know, like I had this like energy. I don't know if like, I don't know, you would know better than me, but like, I don't know, it felt like almost like a novelty to everybody. So it was like
First
so
of all,
fun.
everybody thinks I'm straight all the time, so I get it. Also, I would be, I don't know. I haven't been, I talk about it a lot on this show. I talked about it on my last show. I just am like, oh, it feels scary and overwhelming to me. But
Are you
what do I
sure?
know? I'm also like a total brat and I refuse to go unless I'm like invited and have red carpet, everything.
Oh, well, we can sort that out. You help me with tennis. We'll go to
Oh my
Dinosaur,
God, great.
do VIP.
So into it. So, all right. So Jesse and why did you decide to kind of I guess kind of rename yourself, but use your middle name? Like, why did you make that decision to stop doing Jesse and the Toy Boys and just go Eden and then Eden
So
XO?
I didn't. It was kind
Oh,
of made for me. I thought that okay, so we're gonna travel back in time. Now we're like in so I did the tour in 2011. Instagram, I had Instagram, it had come out on the road, but I used it for its filter
oh
capabilities to
yeah.
then like tweet it, right? Like I didn't know what Instagram was. So there's a couple things where the timing wasn't so great for me. Number one, being an independent artist with that massive of a platform where I was truly crushing it and earning fans in real life. Like people were like, that opening act, like, fuck, I wasn't going to watch, but oh my God, you sucked me in. I'm a fan. I was selling well, like all that. What I couldn't do is I couldn't get on the radio because the major labels
Mm.
dominated the radio. And they didn't like the fact that I was independent because I had a couple offers, which we declined politely because I was like, I don't fucking need this because I had been signed before to which I'll just, why would you know this? There's no reason why you would know this. But
Tell
my
me.
first project was a punk band called Shut Up Stella.
I
We
love
were
it.
three girls. Yeah. Actually, do you know Fan?
Fan who?
Fan Lori, she,
Oh,
just thought
no,
you
but
might.
it sounds familiar. No, I don't.
Okay. Well, so Shut Up Stella, so Fan is gay, and we're three girls, and Kristen was the other band member in our band. And uh Fan was in love with Kristen, and it got to be a thing where it was kind of like two against one a lot.
Mm.
And I was just like, this sucks. I was always left out. They're always sharing like hotels and whatever. But we were signed to Epic Records when I was 17 years old. So I had already been through that major label system and I was like, fuck this. So when I did Jesse and the Toy Boys, because I love Madonna so much, and I had this idea with the mannequins and I had the poster of Madonna with the belt that says boy toy, I just flipped it and I had this whole like conceptual. I also love Gem and the Holograms, the cartoon. And
Duh.
my initials are Gem, Jessica Eden Malakuti. So a lot of people called me Gem. So I was like, Gem and the Holograms. It's like this and that, and like whatever. That's kind of how it came together. But so at this time, I didn't have like, first of all, I never played the game. I hated social media. I still hate it. Still don't play the game. And I remember going into like meetings and them being like, okay, we need you to like, if you see like a Ferrari, we need you to like lean on it and be like, new car. And like, I'm not doing that. And it's so funny because this company was also working with Jeffree Star, who
Oh God.
I know, who he was playing the game and doing all that bullshit. I mean, and he, but I'd rather not do it that way personally. So, point of all this, to answer your question, is that in some people's eyes, Jesse and the Toy Boys was like a flop because I wasn't on the radio. So I thought that was crazy. I think people don't, they still don't, they don't give artists enough time to like, it's like we're these little buds and they're just like bloom, 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 and you're going, right? But like it's not fast enough for them. And so what had happened was when I had the interest of Virgin Records and when I had the wherewithal to realize like I'm never getting on the fucking radio because Spotify didn't exist, right? It would have been a whole
Right.
different game. So I'm like, I'm never getting on the radio if I don't fucking fold and sign to one of these labels. So I did again. And right away, I had someone who will remain nameless who told me that Jesse and the Toy Boys was a flop and we needed to rebrand. And I was like, I mean, I walk around West Hollywood and like people like know me and they're like, that's so cute. Like, like West Hollywood, like we're thinking bigger and that and whatever. They literally had me in a room and were like, you need to be the next Katy Perry. And I just remember being like, and they were talking pretty like disparagingly about her. They were saying like some just ageist. We're not even that like it's just
Well,
crazy.
because wasn't she on Epic first?
She was on Columbia. We have a similar trajectory. She was on
She was
Columbia.
on Epic.
Same company, same parent company.
It
So
is
Sony,
because,
Columbia, Epic.
well, because I remember, I mean, I knew I will also keep him nameless because I actually adore him so much. And I worked for his wife for a long time. But an exec there, an A&R who was at, I believe he was at Epic forever. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, he was like, dude, poor Katy Perry would come into our office. They just treated her like shit. And
Yeah.
same thing as me. You have to lose weight because Katy Perry is not like a tiny. I've met her, like you've met her. She's
Yeah.
not. She's small, like bone, but she's not like. She's like me. She's like curvy. She's beautiful tits. She's
She's
great ass.
beautiful tits.
She's like
Beautiful tits.
beautiful, like crazy hot tits.
And they're real. They're
Real.
real. Yeah.
But like they were awful to her. And look, she's like a major star. And you and I share a mutual friend, Bonnie McKee, who wrote like low key almost all of her hit songs. I mean, it's like such a crazy. Okay, so
Yeah.
they were like, we have to rebrand you, and you were like, fuck, okay, fine. And then you were like,
Well,
Eden.
no, the first thing I said is I was like, well, why don't I just be like, because they didn't like the whole Toy Boy concept. They were like, it's confusing for people because it's not really a band. And I was like, I've always been just more indie in my soul. So I've always been like, I think that's cool. It's cool that, and they're like, no, no, no. We need like, it needs to be like, just a pop star name. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, why can't I just, okay, well, what about like Jesse Malakuti, which was my last name? And this person says to me, it's too ethnic.
Oh God.
And I was like, and by the way, this was 2014. That's not that long ago. And I was like,
Mm-mm.
it's too ethnic. And they're like, yeah, people in like middle America and in the South, like they're not going to be able to like pronounce your name. And I was like, in my head, I thought, Aguilera, like you teach people and they'll learn it. Like, but I was like, okay. And so then they came up with all these fucking stupid names. It was like Trixie and like just stuff that I was like, no. And one day I was like, what about my middle name's Eden? And literally everyone was like, what? And like no one knew. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why the fuck aren't you going by that? And I was kind of like, I don't know. It's a way better name. But so I just wanted it to be just Eden. Just Eden. But then I hate this person. I'll say his name. I don't care. I don't hate him because I don't wish him harm, but I strongly dislike this person. His name's Steve Barnett, and he was CEO of Capitol Music Group at the time that I was signed there. He's not a music person. I don't know why he was running a music company. And he got sued when he was at Columbia. He dropped Katy Perry, full fucking circle. He got sued when he was at Columbia because of One Direction, because there was another group with like the number one. And so when I just wanted it to just be Eden, they were concerned that it wasn't like Googleable enough, like on its own, or like there was like this bean company and then there was porn. By the way, that Scooter Braun, okay. After they dropped me, they signed this kid not kid. He's not a kid. He's literally older than me. I don't know his name. It's like something Nguyen, like the Nguyen. His name is not Eden. It's not on his birth certificate, nothing. And he had a song called XO. And Scooter Braun started managing him. And Steve Barnett allowed him to be Eden, just Eden, same label. Now, if that's not brand confusion, I don't fucking know what is. And it crushed me because everyone would be like commenting on my shit and they'd be like, this isn't Eden's ex. This is the wrong Eden. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they put the whole machine behind him because Scooter Braun. And I just found it so like, it just broke my heart because I didn't want to add the XO. I'm sorry, I'm skipping around because I was like, I don't want to add anything. And they were like, you have to, or they're literally holding your single hostage and it's not going to come out. And it was like on the schedule, which was impossible to get. And I was like, I
And
remember
was this Too Cool to Dance?
It was Too Cool to Dance. And it was, and by the way, I wanted All Day Every Day to be my first single. And I was like, all right. And so, and I had written Too Cool to Dance to pitch for Kylie Minogue. It wasn't even something I was that attached to, but I was like, okay. And so finally, Jelly, rest in peace, who has a major hand in Katie's career. If anybody's seen the Katy Perry movie, the documentary, she's the executive who was formerly at Columbia who stole the files and brought them over to Capitol. Jelly was like, Eden, just why don't you just like you sign all your emails with XO? You're always doodling XO. Like, why don't we just add that? We'll make it really small in the font. And when you're doing like radio and press, you don't have to say it. Just be like, what's up? It's Eden. You're listening to my, kind of coaching me through it and convincing me. And I was like, fine. I was like, okay. And so my first logo, which they changed, it was like in the E and really small. And like little by little, they just made me start saying the XO. And I felt that it does feel really young to me. It's not evergreen. It bugs me to this day, but now it's like, it's too late. Like, I don't want to rebrand for like the fifth time. So,
I never think of it though. It's so funny. Well, because also your husband is Thank You X,
random,
which is random. And I'm like,
yeah.
so I kind of like love it in that way that
Yeah.
you and Ryan are like samesies, but not, which is Eden's husband is an incredible artist. And you guys are just like the hottest couple that has pretty much ever existed, I think, ever potentially.
Oh my God,
It's really wild. Also, isn't he in that? Wait, which video? He's in one of your videos, like as your love interest on a skateboard.
He's in Too Cool to Dance because the actor didn't show up.
Oh my God, classic. I was like, was it the other one? Well, because then, so you do Too Cool for Dance, which all of you guys should Google. You will know the song. You had so many syncs with I felt like that song was like, it's the most syncable song. I mean, yeah. And how does, so I think it's actually an interesting time to ask you about syncs, because then you had The Weeknd, which was after that song, right? After Too Cool. And that was great because you have like all my friends in your music, Molly and Bonnie, and you guys were like sexy. You guys wore like Disney princess Halloween costumes. It was really, really cute. Super into it. Talk to me about like, because your music is like pure, amazing, timeless, like pop music. Like real pop music is so fucking hard. I think it's like some of the hardest music to write, create, because it has to be like literal, it has to like almost make you obsessively listen, and like you want to just like keep listening because it's pop music. Talk to me about syncs, like, because I think with the strike right now, people are like, oh my God, why is SAG striking and why is WGA striking? And it's like, for them, it's residuals, right? Like a big issue is the streaming residuals. A lot of actors, writers are like, what the fuck, this is being streamed a bajillion times on streamers and I'm not seeing any of the revenue. Are syncs something that like really help artists, or is it just not
tremendously?
Okay.
Case in point, Lizzo was going to be dropped. This is just real tea. I know this for a fact. If she wants to deny it and spin her thing, I don't really know. I don't follow like what she says in the media, but this is just facts. Lizzo was going to be dropped, which, what a shame. Can you imagine if they did that? Like, Lizzo's amazing. So she was going to be dropped and she got a sync in a Netflix movie of a older record she had done, which was Truth Hurts. So Truth Hurts is in a Tiffany Haddish scene of some movie that was like wildly popular. Netflix pushed it. And so everyone heard the song because all she needed was like a chance. Like they just didn't, she hadn't found her audience yet. But again, the rose bloom. They just wanted her to bloom faster. They just want everything so fast, these fucking labels. They're like, if it's not a hit tomorrow, it's a failure. And it's like, dude, and TikTok's, bite dance, fucking your shit that you were early on is kind of showing everyone like, I mean, look what happened with Kate Bush.
I mean, the
Like,
Kate Bush thing is insane. Like
yeah, or like
truly
Fleetwood
insane.
Mac, or like it's like you got to give some things some time sometimes. So yes, syncs matter tremendously. Lizzo getting that sync saved her career. Then they repackaged the album because I believe, I'm not 100 on this fact, I'd have to look it up. I want to say Truth Hurts wasn't even on the album that they made.
You're right. And
Yeah.
I only know this because a very, very close friend of mine has been YouTube, like her company. We worked at MySpace together. Remember those days with me
I
at
sure do.
MySpace? Um,
That's how I first got discovered, is MySpace.
yes. It's how like everybody got to. That's why it was like the best job I've ever had because everyone would say yes to me. No one would say no. All artists were like, yeah, fuck yeah, MySpace. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, fuck yeah. No, it wasn't on the album because it was such an old song. And
Yeah.
you're right, because my friend Lindsay Fell, who's amazing,
Yeah.
she was like early days working with Lizzo's team. And I remember I went to like a really small show in the kind of when she started to hit, or like they
Hmm.
gave her the second chance. And
Hmm.
she said it. She's like, dude, this song is so fucking old. Like
Hmm.
they repackaged the whole thing and put
They
Truth Hurts on.
repackaged it and based it around that as the lead single, and then everything else like blew up. And thank God, because I think she's an incredible artist. She plays the fucking flute. She's a
Yeah, no, she's
flautist.
very
Like, come
good.
on, guys. And then
Gives me a little bit of Kids Bop vibes though. I
her
have to
flute
be
playing.
the whole Lizzo.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
Listen,
mean,
for me, it's fine. Like, of course, like I was in Pilates this morning, Truth Hurts comes on, I'm gonna sing along, but I'm not like putting Lizzo on. If I'm being honest, I have to be honest.
that's fine. And look, I see that actually. I could see that and hear that.
I'm kind of like, okay.
Um,
So
my
what's your
Not Too
biggest
Cool to
sync?
Dance gives me Kids Bop vibes sometimes, where I'm like,
Too Cool to Dance does give me Kids Bop vibes a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. What's the biggest sync you got with that song?
the biggest sync I got was with this whole movement, which was National Dance Day. And it was, so the song was synced on So You Think You Can Dance, but it was
Oh,
more than that. It was a campaign for Fox,
yeah.
because it was one of the two songs chosen. It was chosen for the beginner's routine. So every year for like the Dizzy Feet Foundation and whatever, they would choose like two records, and the judges would choreograph a hard routine and an easy routine. And then like kids around North America would learn it and go to these conventions. And I don't fucking know what they win at the end of the
Dude,
day, but
that's
something.
crazy. Did you watch like thousands of little kids dancing to your song?
I did at all these dance conventions. And then I went on stage with Nigel Lithgow in LA for the LA one. And we taught it to them, even though they already knew it. They watched it on YouTube and we were teaching it. And the judge on So You Think You, it was like, that was probably the biggest because it was tied into a whole movement. I mean, back to the real tea. I mean, this is what's crazy. I mean, do you even know why I got dropped
No.
or no? So the song was really successful. It was
Oh
actually
yeah.
selling over 4,000 copies a week when nobody was even buying music. And it had all these syncs. And it was Christmas time. And they had given me a shoestring budget, like nothing. They wouldn't even pay for hair and makeup when I was doing like radio shows that were like
Ugh.
big shows. I just like, it was so crazy. Like literally my manager was loaning, and I had no money, because what people don't realize, sorry, should have put do not disturb on. What people don't realize is like, okay, like I'll just tell you, my advance for that deal was 25 grand.
Dude.
I'm supposed to live on that for like years before I'm seeing any of the money that's returned after they're spending like 110 on the video and all this bullshit, right? So when I'd ask for like $200 to go get like dry bar and a makeup artist, it was like, no. And I'm like, cool. So my own manager was literally like paying for shit. Um, God, I got sidetracked. What the fuck was I saying to you?
Why you
Why I
got
got
dropped?
dropped. So at Christmas time, I cracked the top 40. I shook every hand, kissed every baby, did everything they asked me to. you're playing at this show. And some of these stages, it would be like literally dangerous. It would be like a plank, like I'm walking the plank in Peter Pan and I'm like dancing my ass off and performing. And then there's like drinks and hair, like I'll just, it's a mess, you know? And like I'm in like Virginia, in like the most random like coal mining town. Like it was so, I did it all. One day I got on like, like 5 planes. I ended up in Atlanta at the end and I truly thought I was going to die. Like they worked me and I worked it. And I was 31 on the charts with a bullet. And I was doing Today's Show and it was all going. And then Steve Barnett hated my A&R, Ron Fair. Ron Fair, the legend, the man who signed Christina Aguilera, amongst many other amazing acts, hated each other like this. And he fires Ron. I don't exactly know what happened. I know a big fight ensued and words were exchanged. Ron's fired. Drops all of Ron's acts except me because he can't drop me because he can't justify to like the heads of UMG that he's dropping an artist who's literally in the top 40 at that moment. So they moved me to Capitol proper, gave me a whole new team, and pulled my song from radio. Yeah. So they didn't think it was a hit and that it had done all it's going to do. Meanwhile, it's 31 with a bullet at Christmas time, the hardest time to get a new song in the charts because Christmas music eats up a lot of those slots. And they dropped me. I made The Weeknd independently, the video, because they wouldn't make a video. And so I was like, fuck you, I'm making this music video myself. That was filmed in my manager's office on a weekend. We just took all the furniture out. And I premiered it on the Snap channel and they didn't even know what that was. Like the marketing people were like, what's the Snap channel? And I was the second artist to do that after Madonna because Evan Spiegel was a fan. All craziness, I know. And they were like, well, you violated UMG policy by premiering this on the Snap channel. Meanwhile, I was already dead in the water. I already knew it. And then they dropped me. I mean, who pulls a hit song from radio? Just talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's when I gave up on the labels. I was like, this is not the way to win. Like, it's not.
Would you ever sign with a label again? Ever? I mean, I guess you shouldn't say never, ever, never.
Yeah, it would have to be a very attractive deal because I skipped over because it's boring. I don't even want to get into it. I've had 3 major label deals, 3, and I've had 3 pretty large indie deals, with pretty big indie labels. If I signed to a major label again, or any label for that matter, I would have to get a lot of fucking money up front. And then I would have to be told, do whatever you want. We're going to leave you alone. And when you're ready, let us know. If those were the terms, yeah. Anything other than that, it's not worth it. I'm not making, because to your point about syncs, once I was off the label, the first thing I did, so hopefully this is inspiring to someone and I'm not just talking too much, but so I get a call from business affairs when I'm getting dropped. I already knew I was getting dropped. I was like, I've seen this story so many times. Just I already knew the writing was on the wall. And the reason I knew is I was supposed to do the DC tree lighting with Megan Trainor. And they called me and they were like, hey, you're coming home. And I was like, why? And they were like, oh, like they all just tried to lie to me to spare my feelings and let me have a good Christmas. But meanwhile, I was like, come January, they're dropping me. I just know it. And that's exactly what happened. And when business affairs called me, she was a woman. She is a woman. She was like, yeah, I'm really sorry. We just, we spent so much money and we tried. It's just bullshit. Just carrying out her marching orders. And she's like, if there's anything you need, let me know. And it was the first time I spoke up for myself. I was like, there is something I need. And she's like, oh, like that was weird for her. She's like, okay, what? And I was like, well, what are you doing with all the music? And she's like, well, it's expensive to make. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you doing with it? Are you going to put it out? No. So what are you doing with it? Can you give it back to me? She's like, well, that's not really how it works. Like, da, da, da. And I'm like, okay, well, can it work like that? This is what I'm asking you for. This is what I need. If you're going to drop me, can you give me back the songs I recorded under this contract? Because I'm going to do something with them. I got them back, pretty unheard of. And the next month, I got a sync in Scream Queens in the scene where Ariana Grande dies. And I made more money on that sync than my entire advance. And that's when I realized, why would I ever be on a major label again? Unless like those terms I said earlier, like why? So
Well, first of all, I'm obsessed with that. Um, I and I love it because it's so, obviously Taylor Swift, after Scooter bought all of her music, she went and re-recorded it. Our friend Bonnie
I love
re-recording.
Bonnie for doing it too. Go Bonnie.
I fucking Bonnie McKee, the best. Bonnie's re-recording all of her shit, which I
Yep.
love.
I love it.
Um, so
Hits.
awesome. Hit. They're all, I
Hmm.
mean, it's fucking Bonnie. It's like hits out, hits on hits on hits.
Hits on hits. She just
Bonnie
farted
is
at
very
this
Bonnie is
point.
very good at TikTok.
She's so good at TikTok. I know. I need her
It's
to give
so
me some
annoying,
points.
actually. I didn't go to her 4th of July. Speaking of, well, because I think that's actually the last time I saw you was at the Halloween party.
It was the last time I saw you out front, and
When
you guys
we
were dressed as like the Great American Baking or something. And didn't even know the show. And
Nobody did.
no, you were early. You were early,
We
and then it
were
became
so
like the biggest thing.
It was so funny. We looked so fucking stupid at that party. I was like, and we just had gotten married. We were so exhausted. I was like the thinnest I will ever be for the rest of my life. And
You looked great.
thank you. And Simon, oh my God, what's his last name? Simon from fucking MTV.
Oh, Simon Rex. Yeah.
Simon Rex. Who
Dirt
I
Nasty.
know, Dirt Nasty. That's right. I was like, what's Simon's last name? Anyway, Simon, who I know, we
Mhm.
were in the kitchen and he was like, why are you dressed as an old lady? And I was like, dude, I don't fucking know. We thought this was funny. He was just like, you look nuts. I'm like, I can't. Bonnie, and then she was dressed as like a beautiful cyborg. It's too much.
Mhm.
The stakes are too high at that Halloween party. She's so lovely. Please keep inviting me, Bonnie, but I can't. It's like the 4th of July party is too much. It's all too much. I'm getting old and like anxious. And I'm like, who the fuck are all these cool people? Why is everybody like hot and in a bathing suit? And I can't deal. But yes, that is the last
I
time
didn't
I
go to
went.
4th of July this year either.
I
I
can't.
wasn't in town, but secretly, like, don't be mad, Bon. I didn't want to go because of those same reasons. I didn't want to go be in a bikini and not, I just didn't, I don't know, being a mom, I don't know. I just feel, yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Also, like people, yeah, I could go off on a whole thing, but
I
yeah.
know I can't, but I love you, Bonnie, for life,
I
literally.
love Body for Life too, but yeah, I don't want to, yeah.
But I can't go to those parties anymore. I'm like
But
too
your
old.
costume was amazing. You
Thank
committed.
you. I'm really
So,
committed. I've had some good Bonnie McKee Halloween costume. Were you at the one where Rachel and I were Elvis and Priscilla? That was good.
yes, it was. Is that the one where Bonnie and Darren were Sharon
Yes.
Tate and Charles
Yes.
Manson? Yeah, I remember your costume. It was so
It
good.
was sick. That was a
It
good
was
one too.
sick.
And then
It
one
was
time we
sick.
went as Lucius Lion and Cookie from Empire. That was kind of
Oh my
funny.
God,
We had good
fun.
ones. And so have you. But I sidetrack. The owning the masters, owning the music, owning your things. I think, listen, when I left MySpace, I had that show Getting Nailed, remember about nail art that Bonnie was on. And I asked for my
Mm,
show. And I ended up selling that show. I mean, it got shelved a bajillion times. That's why I love like
good for
really.
you though. I didn't know that you did that.
Oh
Good for
yeah.
you.
I was like, can I have this? And they were like, same exact thing. They're like, no. And I'm like, but can I? And I
Yeah.
literally do. I own it. I mean, I could do whatever I want with it now, but I would never not do that again. And I think like, listen, I mean, I got offered, I mean, kind of okay money for Amber Rose, Do You Die, to host the show. And I said no. I was like, you know what? Nah, fuck it. No. I would rather see it die
Hmm.
in my closet, like in the hill that I've fucking built, than watch Amber Rose like take something that I had to fight so hard for. And I think like, you getting your song, I think I love that especially female artists are talking about it more and more, and that like people that aren't in our industry understand what residuals and syncs and masters are, because I think we
Hmm.
have to support, like, all of us. We have to support each other. We have to support small podcasts like me. I'm on my own. I fucking pay Alexis, who I adore, every month. I'm not making shit on advertising right now. If anybody has a brand and wants to
You will
advertise,
be.
call me.
You will be.
But you know what I mean? It's so hard. And people are like, why wouldn't you just sign with someone? I'm like, because I don't want somebody telling me that I have to open up every show with like, what's your coming out story? Like, I don't want to do any of that shit anymore. And I didn't want to
Yeah.
do it anymore. And I didn't want to be, it's like when you texted me, you're like, do you only have queer people on your show? I'm like, no, I don't, because my life is, yes, it's queer, but it's really not. Like, I
Yeah.
just like who I like. Also, funny enough, because you were on that show, this show is much more like that crazy bite dance show that I had.
I loved when you were doing that.
I know it was so wild, but it was so fun because I got to have like everyone that I admire and everyone that does cool things and are like in my orbit. Like I like, I don't know, I can have real conversations with people and have fun.
That was
Also,
a
I,
lot of fun. And you
but
were such a natural hostess. And also, I remember like you had like thousands of people replying. And I just remember being like, what the fuck is happening?
wait,
And like,
Eden, hold on though. TO. Now we can, you want to talk about tea? We've talked about all types of industry tea today. See,
okay,
that's the shit about social media that fucking sucks though.
what?
They pushed me. So this is everyone listening. I don't care. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble with ByteDance. Who gives a shit? Yes, those were real people, but because I had a show with ByteDance, which was music, which also owned Musically, which is now TikTok, just to give the background, they pushed me so hard in the algorithm, which is why that all happened. So
But they,
now,
as they should, they should. That makes sense. And you earned that. Here's the thing: you earned that with years and years and years and years of all your experience getting to that position. There's nothing wrong with that. You
no,
got to that point where they pushed you, and that's
well,
good.
thank you. But now it's like I can't gain. This is the problem that I have with social media, similar to you talking about how you didn't have Spotify and social at that time when like you could have used it and the machine was the radio. I
Yeah.
feel like the machine is Meta and I feel like the machine is TikTok and it's so
Mhm.
fucking hard for me. I like can't gain audience. It's like because I'm not and I've talked to people who work at Meta. I know. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they push
Mhm.
certain people and it just sucks because there's so many people doing really cool, interesting things. I'm not just saying for me. I think there's a lot of other people that I would love to discover. All I'm pushed is the fucking Kardashians on every fucking platform. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that's interesting. I never see them in my feed.
really? Oh God. And Bravo,
No,
but that's my fault because
I love Bravo.
do you? Who's your favorite housewife?
Which franchise?
Oh boy.
Are you saying all
Top,
time?
give me your top five housewives of all time.
Bethany.
Really?
Yeah, love her.
Okay.
Fucking love her.
Okay.
She's number one. She's okay. She's annoying me with all the like drugstore makeup
Oh,
reviews.
it's terrible. Eden,
Yeah,
I really have a hard time with it.
I know. But if I'm just looking objectively at like this, okay, wait, sorry. Are we talking like, okay, what's the criteria for, are we talking
Oh
like
boy. I'm a real
isolated in
Bravo
their,
fan. I can't get away from them, let me tell you.
oh, I'm like beyond obsessed. Um, you actually changed my mind on Bronwyn when you had her on your show on Cool 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 because
Mm,
I was like, well, I didn't know you guys were friends. And
yeah.
I saw Bronwyn have a meltdown in Maui uh like 2 years ago. And I was like, what the
Wait, like
fuck?
in person or on the show?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It
Wait,
was
I love you coming on here. Also, you're friends with like every celebrity, and you know, you guys like just run in such a funny circle. So I love you coming. That's hysterical.
yeah,
It's
I
cool.
saw her,
Listen,
sorry,
talk
not
is
Maui,
cool.
Kauai. I saw her have a we weren't in Maui, we were in Kauai. I saw her have a meltdown at a coffee shop in Kauai. Um, the coffee shop, by the way, is called the Dark Horse. And I put it together because I don't want to say this person's name because he tried to sue me on Christmas Eve, and I don't fuck with this person, but a very well-known big producer who's worked a lot with Katie and stuff. I was like, oh, this is where they got the title because he has like a house in Kauai where they all go and like write. And
Oh,
I'm
I
not,
know who it is.
yeah, Kauai's pretty small. And like, I was like, oh, this coffee shop's called the Dark Horse. And you could put it together, obviously, whoever's listening. I'm just not gonna say his name. But yeah, she was at that coffee shop and she was wilding. So I was like, and no one was really there. Like, I don't know, but I was there and I was just like, this is insane. But yeah, I think she was going through like a lot, like changes and, so listening to her on Cool, 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 I was like, oh, okay. Because I also feel really bad. Like, I'm sorry, I know she's your friend and whatever, but I think her mom is like sick. And I can see that so clearly from like the first time she was on, introduced to us. Because like I have a really not so great relationship with my mom. I
Right.
actually, I don't want to get in your business, but I heard you mention too on the diary episode about, You and
Oh,
your
it's a
mom.
wreck. It's a wreck with my mom right now. It's a wreck.
Yeah,
A wreck.
yeah, I haven't spoken to Stephanie for, well, rather, she hasn't spoken to me for a minute. And I just had a kid. It's sad. It's like,
Yeah.
come be a fucking grandma, come be whatever. But when I would watch Bronwyn's mom, I had like this really soft spot for her because I was like, what's her fucking mom's name? I don't even remember.
I have no, Deb. I think it's Deb.
Deb. Oh my God. Yeah, she's just like jealous of Bronwyn for my,
Oh, 100%. It's a
it's
whole
just
wreck.
like
It's a
so
wreck. It's a
weird.
wreck.
And
I
so
feel bad.
yeah, like I liked her for those reasons, but then I did see her freak out and quiet, and I was a little bit like, okay, what was that?
It's
But
so fucking funny. That's so funny. Okay, so Brahman is not one of your faves. All right,
she's
so we have
no, but she could be maybe now. Like, I don't know, but I don't know. She's not my fave from like the show. Like, if I'm just judging the shows and the franchises,
shows
Bethany's number
shows in the
one.
franchises. Let's go.
Bethany.
Okay.
Okay, like, and this is Bethany's number one, and then everyone else is just like, I don't know. So Portia,
Oh boy. Okay.
I know. I love Portia.
Oh god.
Um, fuck man. Okay. Bethany, Portia, Sonia. I love Sonia.
It was great.
She's just, she's a good time. Two more. I got two more spots. Wow. Okay. You know, not my favorite, but really grew on me last season of Salt Lake is Whitney Rose. I was like, okay.
Wow.
I
Okay.
know. And
That
so is
was left
Lisa
field.
Barlow. Not my favorite, but really grew on me.
Lisa Barlow had a good season last year.
I can't say she did. I can't stand Heather Gay. I can't stand fucking Heather Gay. I'm like, get out of here. You fucking pick me energy.com with the, I just don't, I don't know. I grew up Mormon.
What?
My life is so, yeah. So, yeah. So there, I have feelings
Wow.
about some of it. I'm not cracked. It was like a forced thing. It was literally
Yeah,
like,
of course. It's always
my
forced.
mother was like, yeah. And I was just like, oh, like, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And my dad's from Iran. So like we weren't your typical Mormon family. Like my dad was literally like, I'm not fucking with that shit. And so it was just like a whole mishmash kind of upbringing. But I have feelings about Heather Gay and they're not positive. But yeah, okay. I'm forgetting certain cities.
Really? Like Nene Leakes isn't on this?
No.
Oh,
Nene bugs me.
okay.
Look, she's amazing TV. She's just not my fave. The problem I have with her, I'm judging her a little bit outside of the show, is when she was like doing like, acting roles and stuff, and she really thought her shit didn't stink. And like she came crawling back to Housewives, and like, I don't know, I just don't. Phaedra, old school Phaedra, I
Old
died.
school Phaedra is a strong character.
She can fucking read people. Like I've never even heard like anyone do a better job. I like Kenya. I know that's polarizing too. I like the Atlanta girls a lot. Oh, New Jersey. Oh my God. Let me go back to New Jersey. Who do I love there? Well, I'll tell you who I don't like. I cannot stand Margaret. I can't stand her.
Why? This is a we have a problem here. And the problem, because the listeners know, is that I'm friends with Margaret. I'm
Oh
friends
no.
with Heather Gay. And you also know one of my best friends is Leah McSweeney.
I like Leah. I'd
You
put
guys
Leah.
would actually really get along. In fact, you should have come to the live show last week where I didn't eat food. This like should go on my tombstone. Liz forgot to eat and got drunk. I was drunk and like the crowd, this. The crowds in LA are tough. They like
They are.
don't interact a lot. And so Leah was really nervous. We were backstage and I was like, you're gonna do great. I'm just don't worry about the crowd. She's like, why are you saying that to me? I'm like, because I had just gone to John Hill, who is Andy Cohen's ex-boyfriend and is also on Radio Andy and a very good friend of mine. And I went to his show and nobody laughed. I sat next to Jeff Lewis, and MJ.
I love Jeff Lewis. That sounds so fun.
And nobody laughed. And I am a good laugher. And so I thought it was funny. So I laughed and he was like, fucking thank God, Liz. And I was like, I got you. So when we went to Leah's show, they put me in the front row and people just weren't laughing. And the venue gave me a tequila soda, which I drank. And then I had another one. And I was heckling. They were calling me a heckler, but I wasn't heckling. I was just trying to like get a vibe. And they tried to pull me up on stage, and I was like, I am too drunk to get on stage. But yeah, Leah's
I
great. You
would have
guys,
loved to have been there.
I
How
know.
did that end? What
When
happened?
I just didn't go on stage. I was like, I'm too fucked up. And they were like, okay. But you would be friends with Leah, actually, because you
I
guys are
like Leah.
badass
I like Leah a
bitches.
lot. I like Leah a lot. And I like her dynamic with her baby daddy and stuff. I like Leah a lot.
My favorite person on the planet, Rob. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob. I like him. I wouldn't put her in faves. She hasn't had enough seasons, but I like
Well,
her
it's
a lot.
over. She'll never be on Housewives again. So
Oh no. Okay.
she's
Well,
announced that. That's not tea.
oh, okay. Well, that's a shame. Um,
I think it's okay. She's got other things going on. Okay, wait. Last and final.
yeah.
Top three pop songs of all time, because you're the pop star princess.
Oh wow. Top three pop songs of all time.
Or your three favorite. I
Oh
know
God.
that's like the hardest question of all time.
This is Sophie's choice. This is really hard. Um, here's the bummer. And I wonder actually no, I know Bonnie feels the same way. And like I'm friends with a lot of big songwriters who we all kind of, I mean, I'm not a really big songwriter, but I'm a songwriter. And sometimes it's hard for me to enjoy music.
I know. Bonnie's told me this too, because you guys like listen to it differently.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
like a real problem that I'm working on in therapy because I want to be a fan again, but I'm so judgy, or I'll guess what's coming and I'll be right. And then I'll hate the song because I'll think that if I was able to figure it out like that, like, like it's not that good of a song, which
Okay,
isn't
wait. I'll give you my
really,
three. Maybe this will
yeah.
help.
Give me yours and then,
I
yeah.
Will Always Love You, which, by the way, did you see that clip I posted where Elvis wanted to record I Will Always Love You, but told
He wanted
Dolly
publishing.
publishing, and she said to go fuck himself? And I was obsessed with that. So I Will
I
Always Love
love
You,
her.
which I don't know
Yeah.
if you can consider that a pop song, but I'm going to put it in the pop song
Oh, it's
category.
absolutely a pop song. Absolutely.
Like a Prayer,
Yeah, so good.
even though I mean, my dog sings to La Isla Bonita. Like Madonna for me,
I was
like a
gonna sing
prayer,
La Isla Bonita. I think that might be one of my top.
which is one of
La Bonita. It's
listen,
so good.
listen, the problem with Madonna for me, Borderline, Lucky
Borderline I love
Star,
too.
like we can't, it's just gonna go on for forever.
Music. It's so
Okay.
good.
So,
It's
but
so
I'm just for the purposes of three, I'm gonna
uh-huh.
go Like a Prayer, I Will Always Love You, and then okay, this
Don't
is
Speak.
oh
That's a great pop song.
that's a great pop. And the first concert I ever saw, and I got to meet all of No Doubt backstage.
Isn't Gwen an angel? Like from ascending from a cloud. You're
Also,
just
you guys are both Anaheim girls. You guys could be like related.
I get that a
You get
lot.
that a lot.
I love her. I'll take it. I don't mind getting things that are like good. I'm like,
I was
sure.
gonna say Thriller, Michael Jackson, but I don't know if we're allowed to say that we like Michael Jackson anymore. But I
My brain went there
do.
too. And he's got
Ooh, Billie Jean.
I was gonna say Billie
Yeah.
Jean over Thriller. I mean, okay, and for Madonna, I think Papa Don't Preach is up there just because like the
Ooh,
subject matter
God,
she touched
the
on was
best.
so yeah. I mean,
If I was stuck on an island, I would listen to Madonna Like a Prayer album. I think
if
that would be the one I would take. And you know what? I can tell you why, because I was stuck in an island, aka my apartment in West Hollywood during the fucking pandemic, and literally all I listened to was Madonna because you have the whole breath.
mhm. So I would agree with you. So I can do top three albums.
Okay, good.
So I would say, yeah, I would say Like a Prayer is her best album. If I had
100%.
if I have other ones that I love for weird reasons, like I oddly love American Life, which everyone's like,
Oh
"What?"
wow, that's crazy. That's you on your own. I love Ray of Light though. Ray of Light is like one of my faves.
Yeah, everyone loves Ray Light though. Like American Life has some sleeper bangers that people need to like product whatever. It's a whole other thing, but Like a Prayer, yeah, Like a Prayer. Thriller, yeah, Thriller. I mean, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna have to pick four. I would say Tragic Kingdom. I mean, I don't know if that's pop. Let's get rid of that one. I mean, okay, these are just the albums I'd want to listen to. I'd want to listen to Nina Simone, Wild as the Wind.
That's not pop. You are not opening. We are not opening up this category because I am the
Oh,
R&B jazz princess, and I will take that on
oh,
fucking.
okay. You don't think that like some of like I put a spell on yous on there and that's pretty pop.
No way, Jose.
Okay. I don't have an answer. Let's next time. But would I'd put Britney Blackout in there. I'd put Britney in there. Um,
Really?
who else?
Oh yeah.
Blackout was a fucking great album, or is a great album. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I think we like the same music, so we should like, I don't know, play tennis to it. And wait, I want to go back to how you are friends. Like I see, to me, I'm more starstruck by Bravo celebrities than
Oh
any.
no, I'm closing it off. But the Bravo thing is, this is how it all shakes out for me, and everybody knows this. My last podcast was produced by Embassy Row, which does Watch What Happens Live, and my co-host was Andy's
It's my
assistant.
dream to go on Watch What Happens Live.
You can go on Watch What Happens. You've got to go on Watch What Happens Live.
I
I was
can't.
supposed to, but we'll never talk about that on air.
No.
Oh, we'll leave this for the uncut.
Oh
Like
no.
I'm writing it down. One,
Is Andy a monster?
no.
Okay.
So then we've got and then my friend Leah was on the Housewives, and then I'm just like housewife adjacent. Also, I made out with
Why?
Lisa Vanderpump. You've never heard these stories? You got to listen to Cool Cool Cool.
Yeah, yeah, hit me to those episodes. I'm friends with all the Vanderpump cast, oddly, but Lisa Vanderpump was pretty rude to me on the night of my bachelorette party, but it's okay. I still love her. I'd put her in the top. I'd put Vanderpump in my top. Yeah, she needs to come back.
I think she will.
Um, I oddly love Camille, and like I don't know why.
Oh
Like,
God. I have a
but I didn't
feeling
know.
this is.
I'm
You
sorry
need
for
to go
your
to
friends.
BravoCon.
I didn't know Heather Gay was your friend or half the people I said I can't stand. I cannot stand Margaret Josephs. I just can't. I like,
I've never, but here's a hot take. I've never watched her on TV before.
she's awful.
But
And
in
like,
person, she's lovely.
I'm sure she is. She probably kisses your ass and says all the same. I just watch how she operates and she's just like, she's not my kind of woman. She's not.
Mm.
I also don't love her like being so, like, she loves the fact that she's this like adulterous queen. And I'm just like, kind of gross. Like, I don't know. I don't like her. She's fake to me. And she looks like a weird, like, actually, I think I tweeted this, which is like, oh my God, Kelly Dodd blocked me her first season because I
Sick.
went on her.
Badge of honor. Badge of
Yeah,
honor.
that was pretty cool. But no, Margaret, I mean, this is negative. Maybe I shouldn't end on a negative thing. I will say this, I like her interior design aesthetic.
Really?
Some
Me
of
and
it.
Margaret Joseph, I went on her show, caviar, tuna fish, whatever, something. And
Mm-hmm.
I told her that I get my sheets pressed at the dry cleaners every week,
You
which by
do?
yeah, it's the
That
fucking
is such a good idea.
you feel like you're living in a hotel. And she
What a
was
great
like,
idea.
and Sutton Strack, who is a friend of mine, don't talk shit about Sutton because
I
Sutton,
love Sutton. I love
you know what
Sutton.
we should do? Go
What?
play 10. Sutton just texted me from Greece the other day. Very sweet. She wished me a happy birthday, which is like the loveliest. We should go play tennis at her sick house.
Hi. Yes, and I love Sutton. And by the way, the record will show I have stood up for Sutton from the
Sutton's the
very
best.
first episode. You know who else I can't stand? I don't like Erica Jane.
Oh yeah, well, also like
Team Sutton all day long. She's so vile to Sutton. I want to like stand up for Sutton because I can be a real cunty bitch. And I really want to like get in there for Sutton sometimes because I'm like, stop talking to Sutton this way. Like I get
yeah, she
very
sucks.
upset. But yeah,
But
Sutton.
Sutton and I were talking because I was like, do you know Margaret Joseph's like doesn't get her sheets pressed? And she's like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah, because I do. And anybody listening, you should go get your fucking sheets
I'm
pressed.
gonna start doing that. Do you get them cleaned or just pressed?
I clean them here.
So you get the downy smell and then they press them.
Correct. And
So
then
smart.
they stay for like 2 weeks clean, like you're in a hotel.
I want that in my life.
It's a cost.
I need that. I'm
Well,
doing that.
you can
Cool,
have
cool,
it.
cool. I love it.
All right, I love you.
I love you. It flew by and I